Now, you might be familiar with the ID queries, ID selector, which is basically a way of uniquely identifying an element and working with it. And so in this case, I'm trying to get access to the DOM of this specific input element here by referencing the ID value and then getting the input value from this input field. And so of course, if I refresh this, I'm getting the value element 2 down here within my console. Now what you may not know is you really don't have to type all of this to gain access to the element. And so if I just console log and then type out just the name of the ID and then let's say dot value, because that's what we want ultimately, I still get the same thing with fewer lines of code. Now do not rejoice yet, as this behavior is not really something that in the long term or further down the line makes sense, because what's happening here is you can imagine having a number of elements with IDs, and all of these IDs are being dumped into your global scope as variables, which could conflict with variables that you have actually declared, and this can pose a serious problem. It could rewrite some of the variables you have within your script, and so this is not something you want to be doing. Now, how do you go about this problem? One way I've found around this is by using ID names that are not valid variables. And so in this case, this is hard to reference since it's not this. It can be using the hyphen within the variable name is not valid, and so this shouldn't work at all. And then even if I go back to this, something like this, it's also not valid, right? And so the moment I use a non-valid variable name, the browser is unable to create a global variable out of that, and so I'm kind of safe. And so yeah, just be careful when you create IDs, because they end up polluting your global scope, and one way to go around it is to use non-valid variable names.